J. Ping here of Respect My Region. We are on the RMR Podcast Network today, folks, with another episode of the New York Cannabis Podcast. Today's episode brought to you guys by Trees. Big shout out to our sponsor partner. Now, today, folks, we've got a very special guest. We've got Lulu Tsui, co-founder, chief experience officer. I think that's what CXO means. That's a
That
tricky
is CXO. Yep, exactly.
experience officer on the Revel, which is right now we're going to be talking about the Revelry Buyers Club coming up on September 12th. We're less than a month, we're 3 weeks away today. And then we have the Revelry Festival, which is going to be on September 13th, the second day. Buyers Club day one, business deals, moves, content, the usual amazing experience that the Revelry Buyers Club is, and I've heard about that all over the country from so many people, Lulu. Since we last spoke, people, it's really, not to say it wasn't already blown up, but a lot of people, that word of mouth, that chirping, now it's getting talked about all over the country all the time because New York is booming. Festival, though, Lulu, big deal. You guys have graduated to a festival, so we're going to talk about that. But first, before we get there, Lulu, how crazy has this all been? Because you just keep growing and scaling, and you're managing the experience. There's 450 plus stores now, and over, gosh, there's got to be at least a couple hundred brands at least.
At least, yeah. We've scaled so much in the past 2 years. Starting from the first Buyers Club we did in 2023, beginning of 2023, where we had 60 brands and I think 44 of the 60 card licensees at that time.
Wow.
To this one, which is it's our biggest one yet. So we're gonna have over 200 brands and expecting over 400 retail groups to come through. So it's been a quick scale up, and I'm just really proud of our team to be able to kind of grow the market along with all the with all the growing pains that have been happening. But we're here. It's going to be amazing. Our market in New York is just growing exponentially. So and I think it's the fastest moving market right now in the world. So it'd be great for folks that are interested in seeing kind of an insider's point of view on what's happening and kind of meet the brands and the retailers and the players that are shaping our market, which is our Buyers Club. So B2B, exhibitors, buyers, POs and leads all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then to support the other side of the market, we wanted to do we wanted to grow the addressable consumer market. So we're leaning into what, New Yorkers like to do, smoke good weed, eat good food, listen to music, have good vibes, and just hang out and just participate in, the legalization of New York.
I think it's powerful. It's impactful. I got a lot of respect. And the word that I want to land on and finish with is it's inspiring. With Respect My Region was the focal point, the point guard to pivot us more into mainstream music and not just local Seattle hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Local music's great, local culture great, but what do fans, what do our consumers, what do people that buy clothes and weed, what do they ultimately do all day long? They stream music from famous people, from big artists. They watch celebrities on movies and Netflix, and they watch TV, all these different forms of media, right? And I say all that because those people that they're watching, they're big brands. They have big followings. And people consume regular stuff, man. So for you guys to book artists, to book these musicians, to throw a festival, that to me is the most normalizing thing any cannabis group can do, because music makes the world go round, baby. Like I live in LA, Lulu, you're in New York. We both know that a K-pop artist from North Korea or South Korea or wherever could come into either city. There's going to be 50,000 people at that event if it's the right artist, right?
Right.
Name one cannabis individual that's going to pull that kind of thing. Wiz Khalifa, maybe, not Burner. Burner never did a 50,000 person concert, right? So it's like we think about these normal music artists, whether it's the Bad Bunnies or there's this rapper from Seattle named Jay Park. He's in one of the big K-pop bands. I forget which one it is, but like the big one, and like I think about how normal music is for people, and then food. These food festivals do great, man. I go to the Taste of Whatever in LA. I have a great time. Lulu, talk to me about the experiences that you have planned for the Buyers Club first, because business, and then also too for the festival second. What are some of the things? What are you pulling
Yeah.
out?
I mean, for Buyers Club, we just make the space and business just happens. Like one thing about New Yorkers is New Yorkers want to stack paper together. Like that's what New Yorkers want to do.
I want to make some
So
bread.
they want to fucking, yep, get the bag. So, it's a very concentrated environment that how New Yorkers do it anyway, which is like extra, extra. So we just create the space and, the retailers are coming in, they're meeting up with the exhibitors, the brands, the cultivators, processors, supply chain
Do
side.
you have to bait them in? Like, do you have good like these are fish? We're trying to catch fish when it comes to these buyers, just like wrangling cats. What is the bait that you use to get these people to come in? Or is there any? Does there even have to be bait? Is it just New York's popping and they all ready to go anyways?
I think it's a mix of both, right? So we totally understand that we're, riding this wave of our market. This is my third one. So, I mean, that's pretty standard. But I think what sets us apart is just the vibe of our
Mm-hmm.
event, right? Because you go to some of the conferences and it's either super heady or super business and lab coats. But I think for all of us, we all fit somewhere in between, right? And that's the reason we started our events was, hey, there wasn't really anything that just hit everything that we're about, which is education, opportunity, uh, people that look like us, and just like the celebration part of it too. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we are able to attract, I mean, there's good people in all the rooms. And I think what we're good at is like creating a space where all the good people come together. And that's also kind of very different than the rest of the markets is New Yorkers were kind of stacked on top of one another. So you're very used to blending in and mixing with different types of people. Versus I'm from the West Coast, it's kind of sometimes very monoculture. It's like you hang with the same type. You're from Seattle, like
Yeah,
there's very
Seattle's super clicky. LA
right.
even worse because then there's money and cool cloud involved and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right?
So
So
there's
different.
so I think we're just really rich in community currency, industry currency, and just being able to we have just a really solid reputation, right? Our
Nothing is
reputation.
more nothing about like okay. Let me rephrase the sentence. When it comes to New York and culture, one of the biggest differentiating factors, no one else compares to it in the United States. This Texas has pride. LA pride, not like pride like LGBTQ pride, like pride for
Yeah.
their culture, where they're from, what they're about, what they represent, what makes them different, what makes Houston versus Austin, or New York this borough versus that borough, and the difference. No one's more proud of how different they are from each other than New York. No
Yep.
one's more proud of their diversity than New York because of how many people. There's just an endless list of reasons, but that's
Well,
one
it's
of my favorite
community.
things about you
It's
guys out there.
it's community, right?
Yeah.
It's like even if you don't think you're part of community, you're part of your community. You're part
Mm-hmm.
of the block. You're part of your interest group. You're part of your industry. It's just like that's what I love about New Yorkers is it's very multidimensional people. You're not just one,
Multi-dimensional. Great word for that for this.
you're not just one note. And because you're multidimensional, you connect with so many other types of people. So
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the specialty that I find. I'm from Oregon originally, went to school in Seattle, lived in San Francisco, lived in LA, but I've been in New York, bi-coastal for about 20 years. So definitely see the differences. And I think like West Coast lifestyle, 100%, right? It's super chill. You have access, nature, food. But for me, especially being an entrepreneur at this moment in my time, having access to people that are so different, such hustlers, so I'm still learning from everyone that I meet. There's curveballs. I'm like, I went out last night. I'm like, what? You do what? And and it's like, wow, you look like you do this, but you're telling me you do. So you're always like, it's always interesting. It's
Yeah.
always
They
inspirational.
say it's the city that never sleeps. And since we last spoke, I've been driving Uber and Lyft because what am I supposed to do? Sleep and sit more? It's like, no, I'm trying to go make some money. I'm trying to get to my financial goal every month. And I talked to so many people from New York, and they talk, they compare, and it's like I'm picking people up late at night, and it's people comparing the nightlifes, and everybody over there shits on LA. They say LA's so boring, it's
Well,
so lame compared to New York.
where LA is, I lived in LA. I lived in Echo Park for about 6 years. And
Mm-hmm.
LA is more about house parties. So it's
Mm.
about house parties, or like we were talking about, like that social currency, like going to the galleries, going to this opening, going to that
Going
opening.
to all the damn events, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like you just gotta be at them. Not even in cannabis. I'm talking like the amount of music stuff that I get invited to. Well, honestly, it's crazy. When I first moved here, the amount of music stuff I got invited to LA compared to Seattle, astronomically just different. The scale, the quality of the opportunity, the artists. It was like major tour, major artists, and not just in rap and hip hop. We're talking every genre of music. Period. From the casinos in Yamava here and the artists. It's just like, but it's still it pales in comparison to you guys and more because by the time it's sleepy here, 2 to 4 a.m. New York's still going 2 to 6 a.m.
Yeah, I
You
went
know,
out this
hey,
weekend. I
it's
was
just
like,
like Miami in that way, or Miami's just like New York in that regard. So, but anyways, this all leads to the point towards one thing: different culture, right? Different communities, different things, different people doing stuff. And you, as the experience, do you incorporate these different things that you've been to into these events? Like you say, business just gets done. How do you guys kind of guarantee ROI is happening for people? How can someone trust that they're going to give you money and they're going to get something back from that beyond just a great experience?
yeah, I mean, we vet every attendee on
Mm,
Buyers Club Day. So of course we do the normally, like the push and the socials and the emails and the texting. But at the end of the day, like we understand that from an exhibitor brand point of view, you don't waste your time. You don't want to waste your time talking to someone's girlfriend who's just got excited about cannabis. You want to talk to the decision makers. You want to talk to the buyers, the owners, the people that can actually get place orders for you. So we do a lot of vetting. I'd say 90% of all of our attendees for day one are decision makers.
nice.
The other 10% are people in the industry. So it's much more curated than having just a conference where
So
everybody
the
is
curated attendees is
correct.
huge because historically on a lot of conferences, trade shows, business events, you do get the industry and people tend to blur that line of, oh, it's business, their industry versus the actual goal and target of buyers meeting
Yeah,
brands and brands
yeah,
meeting buyers, right? And not
exactly.
only just buyers, but I'd say retail staff, because it's not just going to be buyers there. I would assume, in my experience at Hall of Flowers and other buyers events, Flower Expo, and some other things that I've been to, there's always like the general managers there. There's always like some of the shift leads get to go if they can. Is that true for you guys as well? Do you
It's
guys
only
encourage the other retail staff to come?
We encourage the business owners and the buyers to come.
Mm.
Sometimes they'll bring their inventory manager, which makes
Yeah.
sense. And that's why we created day two, right? So
So in
we
that first day, it's even more curated to
correct.
cut out because I feel like at those other events, having been a booth that was like a brand in that inside, we turned from media to CPG for about a year, right? And it was like we didn't stop doing the media; we just had to do the CPG too. But you just give away so much stuff to those people that are not really the decision makers like
Well,
yourself.
we have a lot of so every group gets two buyer badges.
Mm-hmm.
So they're clearly marked, not just for,
Wow.
identifying who they are for an exhibitor to know who to give product to, but
Yeah.
also just compliance reasons, right? So I'm talking to you, I see a buyer badge. Okay, you're the one that I need to talk to. Everybody else gets other badges, but you can then decide, hey, who am I going to focus on? Who do I
Yeah.
want to talk to? So
I
like,
like that.
and that's kind of the user experience background. So Jacoby, my co-founder, and I both come from design thinking, which is
Mm.
we really try to understand who we're serving, from the exhibitors, the attendees, the sponsors, to the speakers, etc. So it's kind of, we can make some assumptions of how we think people will receive things, but at the end of the day, we do a lot of discovery. We do feedback sessions, we do interviews, and we also keep our ear to the ground of what's really happening in the market in terms
Yeah.
of trends. So we program around that. So I think
That
that's
having
another
the ears and eyes to the streets, Lulu. It's
Always,
a reoccurring theme with you and your team.
always. I mean, you can't sit in your ivory tower and make decisions on something that you're not interacting with. I keep saying like, hey, if would you hire a shoe designer if they never wore shoes?
I sure as hell ain't buying some sneakers from somebody who makes what are those German shoes, the Birkenstocks?
Yeah, I mean, or
No,
someone who's
no.
never worn shoes. So I think also the history that Jacoby and I, when we first started, we were working on the operator side, also gives us a different perspective of like what we're trying to do to help the exhibitors and the operators. So, and then one of our team members is, actively working with brands and in store as a buyer. So we're constantly getting feedback. We're constantly trying to learn, which also is, we're always updating. So I think every time people come to our events, it's never the same playbook. Like New Yorkers, their attention span is like 2 seconds. So one of the reasons people keep coming back is there's unexpected things that happen. There's new things that happen that didn't happen the time before. So it's that constant kind of push to try new things. It's that constant push to learn about how our market is adapting. And I think we listen, and I think we're doing a pretty good job, to be honest with you, because I keep hearing like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I have to go to this or have to go to that versus I'm really excited to come and hang out and, meet my people that I haven't seen. Like there's more excitement. And I think we've just done a really good job with like curating vibes, but also making sure that business gets done in the way that, our exhibitors and our attendees are expecting.
One of the key points you mentioned earlier was the growth and the scaling and how you've gone from 60 brands to how, to the second show and then now you're upwards of 200, right? Who are some of the brands that have been there with you guys since, that first show and, through each of the events? Who are some of the consistent ones we're going to see?
I mean, Weed Maps has been with us. Like they've been so supportive of the things that we do. Um, that's on the ancillary side, but MFNY is a group that's been just super, like always rolled with us. No Waves rolled with us. On the retail side, like Cause and Con Bud's team has been fantastic. Gotham, Union Square. I mean, you caught me off guard. There's like so many that I
No,
just
that's a good little list right there. I mean, those are all bangers right there. Okay, so that's a solid group right there. Okay, so next part of it is then who are some of the newbies that you're excited? Like who are some people that you're super pumped about?
Oh, that's a good question also.
Obviously, everybody you are appreciative of their
Yeah, yeah,
business.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
hard feelings there. Like we know that it's a grind and that it costs money, but
Yeah,
like
I mean, we're starting
we
to
appreciate the
see
opportunity here.
yeah, I mean, we're starting to see more so we just did with the First Peoples and Native Indigenous folks are coming with brands, so that's been really cool to see. Sky World, Little Beach Harvest. Oh my gosh, at the top of my head, I don't have the list in front
Hey,
of
we
me.
had Little Beach Harvest on our show. That's on earlier
Yeah,
this year. That's
they're
dope. That's a
fantastic.
tribe. That's a tribal land
Yep,
group.
yep. Shinnecock Nation. So,
Hell yeah.
so it's been cool to see that. I'm seeing more like female brands coming in. It's been also cool to see. I don't know if I can talk about them yet,
Do
but
you guys have like panels or like what do they call the
on
coffee
day
side
two,
shop
yeah,
things and
on
stuff
day
like that?
two. So we talked about day one, which was our B2B Buyers Club
Yep.
trade show, and then day two is our festival. So
Sick.
that's when the folks that you had mentioned, like the staff, the bud tenders, etc.,
Mm,
they should have access to be part of this as well. So that's why we launched day two, which is the festival.
yeah.
Also, a reason, like I said, we wanted to grow the addressable consumer market because New Yorkers, everyone I know consumes. They smoke, they do edibles, they do tinctures. Like everyone consumes that I know. They're not loud about it, right? It's not like it's very, New York is very conservative in many ways, right? Culturally, it's very progressive. In a lot of ways, it can be very conservative in other industries. So, someone at the head, let's say leadership at a top financial firm is not going to be like, hey, everyone, I smoke weed. That's where our medical program failed. Like, we have a lot of very conservative people who just don't want to be loud and announce it
Mm,
because there's still stigma. There's a lot of stigma on the East Coast still. It's not as free as the West Coast in terms of being able to be vocal about the plant medicine or the other things that you're doing.
Yeah, the culture of cannabis definitely permeated the uh, uh, commercial real estate, home real estate, cars, whoever worked at, this place or that business, the Hollywood, like cannabis just became kind of intertwined with all that for better and for worse in some ways. Um, Interesting to hear your perspective on that for New York as well as people to just have so many assumptions about there based on media and Hollywood. Let's also
Yeah,
be real, right?
yeah, yeah.
When it comes to what people think about New York. Lulu, with that festival, who I only had brief moments because I was setting up when you were first coming on the getting into the studio with me as well. Entertainment. What are we looking at? It's a festival. What are we looking at
Yeah,
for the
so
entertainment?
day two, we have our stage. So the first part of the day is our speakers and panels, and then we move on to our keynote speakers. So we're doing a consumer education part of like how to read a label, what's really legal, what are all the product types that are out there. Then we're doing a panel about OG strain stories of New York. So there's a lot of conversation about West Coast strains, which is dominating. But we
But
still
what about Sour D and the Piff and all these other ones, classic
exactly
from you guys?
exactly. And then we're seeding a psychedelics panel.
Nice,
So we're going to be launching our psychedelics conference starting 2026. So bringing in some
dope.
folks with that, and then we have Chef Nikki, who's coming in to interview Black Thought. We have, uh, call her a young person because I just turned 50 this year. So everyone's really young. Scotty Beam is going to be on stage. We have Eagle Witt,
Okay.
who's a hilarious comedian that does a lot of social commentary. And then we'll move into our music programming. So we have a couple DJ duos, Angel and Dren, Dos Flacos, Phony People, the band's coming through. I have one more announcement I can't make right yet. But then there's gonna be just people that stop through. Like I think Fat Joe's coming by. Mike Tyson's gonna come through. There'll just be folks
Yeah,
come,
I mean it's still New York. People are out there at that caliber all the time, right?
and it's just normal.
Yeah,
It's not like it's just that's what I love about New York. Different types of
yeah.
people. Doesn't matter what your background is, can still show up and just hang out and no one will bother them. So, and the other thing that I'm really excited to announce, talking about food, and going more mainstream. So Smorgasburg is our food partner this year. So
Wow, that's
yeah,
dope. That's huge.
yeah. So it's starting. I mean, the purpose of creating this festival was to reach our friends that might not come to a heady event, but maybe there's other music that they like, maybe the food, like we have
Yeah.
some really
I
cool.
mean, people just straight up. I think there's a Smorgasburg thing here in LA, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, like people just search for that on Eventbrite and think there's always things to do there, and like the food aspect of it, and like like I feel like that in itself, again, like that's the true normalization. And what is cool is you made a point. There's a lot of talk about West Coast everything when it comes to weed stuff, and that's fine because it's all valid over here for that matter. But when we think about culture and what people care about, their daily realities. New York is creating and doing its own thing all the time. They were growing their own weed. It just so happened that things were legalized in different first in other places, thus they could talk about it. There could be media. People were safer in many ways, and that's
Mhm.
a big difference. And now that New York had the scales have balanced in some of these areas, not in every way, but in some ways and in many ways. Now you're starting to see this kind of creativity, these kinds of experiences, these kinds of conversations, this culture being brought to the forefront of things. I think you guys are obviously leading the way there and doing a phenomenal job. I say this every time. I can't wait to get out there for one of these. Unfortunately, folks, I won't be there, but we will still have all these cool things going on. I mean, you don't need Joey Brabo when you got Joey Crack in the building. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the reality. If Fat Joe's there, like that in itself is enough of a reason to go smoke weed and just be around other people enjoying cannabis and making stuff happen. No better place to do that in New York. Such a I would say awing experience, if that makes sense. Okay, so what time do doors open? What time can people get there? Both for the Buyers Club first. What's the time frame for that event? And then
Yeah.
same question for day two.
So Buyers Club is Friday, September 12th, Pier 36, from 12 to 7. 12 to 7. And then for day two, same venue, Pier 36, Saturday, September 13th, 12 to 8.
Dope. Dope, dope, dope. A lot of good stuff going to be going on. Where can people reach out last minute? They got, like I said, got you guys got 3 weeks. You guys got
We
20 or
got
so
3 weeks.
days before this all starts. So where can people find out? Get tickets, buy tickets, reach out to try to get involved, do all the things. Where can they
Yeah,
go?
so our website, if you want to get tickets or if you want to exhibit or sponsor any of those things, is revelryny.com. So revelryny.com. And then, hit us up on social. On Instagram, it's at On The Revel, ONTHEREVEL.
Run it up, folks. Make sure you all tap in. New York in the building, going hard. Uh, I told you in the beginning, been hearing a lot of chatter when I go places around the country, when I have all these guests. Everyone's looking at New York. They're definitely paying attention to that. They watched what happened in California, and we're not hearing the same uh, uh, tornado effect of every season, the same issues over and over, perpetually getting worse or bigger. That's California, that's Oregon, that's these older legacy markets here at this point within the rec space. New York, it just seems to be on the up and up. Obviously, a little bit of a hiccup with the zoning and all those lawsuits and all the state doing their thing. But guess what, folks? This is an event. So be sure to come in, come out, come support, come speak your mind, come try all this good weed. And if you're a buyer, POs, baby. POs. We need y'all spending
Okay.
your money. We need you paying your bills, and we need people to show up and buy it. So come support Lulu. I appreciate you for joining, and of course for your time and everything. And what you guys are doing out there is phenomenal.
Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, big ups to you guys. Everybody, thank you guys for watching. Joey J. Ping here, checking in live, man. Respect my region. Lulu Tsui on the Revel. Episode brought to you guys by Trees. Make sure y'all tap in. New York Cannabis Podcast, September 12th, September 13th. Revelry Buyers Club, the 12th. Revelry Festival, the 13th. I won't see you there, but hopefully you guys are there. I love y'all. Peace.